Good afternoon everyone and welcome to today's art stream. I say good afternoon, but it's probably more like evening here. It's got to that time of year where it gets pretty dark at 5. But yeah, as you can see, we are going to continue with the piece that we're working on Wednesday. And those of you who've been around a little longer than that will know I started this piece last month. But we're kind of getting there now. The hardest parts are done. We just got to work our way down the costume and yeah, get her finished basically. And hey Revel, happy Friday to you two and everyone else in chat as well. I hope you've had a lovely week, or at least if you haven't had a lovely week, it is now the weekend, so that week is officially over. So we're gonna get right into this. I'm gonna start with painting the vest, which is gonna come down to the belt down here. I'm going a little bit further down. You kind of see how it's got a kind of a chopper dip on the front of it. So first things first is pick color. We're going to make it a lighter kind of sandy brown compared to the top part. Something like this. We'll go with that and see how it... Oh my goodness, the puns have already started. I love it. Keep it up. And CB Jess, welcome to the stream. And thanks for coming along. And the intense music is already going, so I feel like I ought to just get straight into this. Indeed, it's cozy stream today, and I hope you enjoy it. The music's quite intense right now. It isn't usually like that, but hey, that's start we need to go on. And the nice thing is, because we've been pretty good with staying inside our lines in the other areas of this piece, we can just kind of scribble over places we've already painted without worrying about messing them up, which makes life a lot easier. So we'll just go down to a smaller brush for doing these little bits around the belt components. And just working our way left to right. Obviously that's just personal preference, there's no reason why you can not go right to left, and sometimes I do. It's just in this case I'm going left to right, it seems. And a little bit too over the line there, so take that back a bit. Nearly finished this top segment. At this point in the image, we've kind of, like I say earlier, we've done a lot of our painting already, so it gets a bit quicker to lay down base layers. Thank you so much to Shmooth Krunel for following. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Alright, so that section's painted in. Let's just do this lower bit down here, and the little bit that you can see in between the belt layers. Oops. Like so, and then from over here, just sizing up to a slightly bigger brush. And then back down to a small brush just to do this bit near the bottom. How did the new campaign start go? It went really well, actually. We did 2 encounters, both of which my party solved non-violently, which I wasn't expecting. A lot of natural 20s occurred, and I knew they were legit because we were using Roll20. And yeah, it was really fun. Getting back into DMing again feels good. Right, just gonna neaten this line here a tiny bit. And then zoom out. And there's the vest layer. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to make a new layer above that. Make sure it's clipped down to the one beneath. And as usual, as I always do when I'm shading kind of fabrics, taking that very light greyish magenta and filling in that entire layer to shade it basically. Hi my little, welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy it. Alright, so now switching to a white paint colour for the brush, because rather than removing the multiply layer, we're going to be painting white onto it, which will make eyedropping gradients a lot easier for when we want to essentially add some gentle blending and shading. Vest Slayer, yeah, that sounds about right to me. And gently kind of roughly marking in where all this light is going to catch. We're going to get some coming through down here in kind of the folds of the material just a little bit. Oh, Fluffy Druid, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm pleased you could join us. And just kind of following around the shape of where the creases will naturally form. And again, for now, it can be fairly rough. You don't have to worry about it being super tidy right now, because we can go back in with shadows and kind of replace them in areas we think they are necessary. And the lovely thing about painting on in the white means we can eye drop between the two and have a nice kind of between state, which is useful in areas where there's going to be some natural gradients going on, like here, like so. And once we've kind of got that in place, it's just a matter of blending between them. And it's quite a gradual process, but worth kind of putting the time into to create that nice looking kind of fabric look. And then of course you'll want to add a shadow when you've got things like straps that kind of go on top of the layer. In this case, we also want shadows being cast from these smaller straps that are kind of closing the vest. So I'm just going to gently add those. And then lastly, they'll want to add shadows coming cast from the kind of the over vest, which is just worn on top there. Alright, so there's some kind of gentle starting points. I'm just gonna break up a few of these a bit. So, and then kind of smoothing them out again. What sort of brush am I using? I see sometimes it's at max size where you paint, other times it's pressure sensitive. Yeah, so it's almost always pressure sensitive. It's quite, I've got the settings so it's pretty sensitive. So size wise it does go to the large size without too much pressure. It's the fourth one down in Photoshop's general brushes. It's called hard round pressure size. And in brush settings, I always make sure that transfer is turned on with these kind of sliders. This is what gives it the opacity kind of variation and makes it kind of connected to the pen pressure. But as a general rule, I use this brush for every stage of the painting, apart from hair and fur, which I have a special brush that I use for that. Alright, so I think at this point we want to find ourselves a darker shading colour, so we're just going to pick a darker magenta give ourselves a nice big brush and start adding a bit more shadow in some areas, kind of underneath the bust. Often has some deeper shadows. Underneath the arm here, we'll have some coming down the side. The shadow cast by the strap will have some. And some of these deeper kind of creases in the side will be a bit darker as well. Okay, so with that kind of dark colour in, we can then blend it back by eyedropping between that and the shadows that we already have. And then just making sure in places where we kind of went over them, these nice deep shadows are still nice and crisp. And in some places we want even darker shadows. This is literally only where we're kind of being obfuscated by something such as the arm. A couple of creases there. That strap's coming across and probably a bit down here too. Oh, thank you so much, CB Jess. Doing little metallic accents is one of my favourite things to do, so always good fun. And stick figures are always good. Like if you are, especially if you're commissioning artists, we adore stick figures. It really helps us kind of see what it is you are kind of referring to a lot more easily than you'd think. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. So I think the next thing to do will be add a little bit of extra light highlights at the top of the vest, just very gently, making sure that it is alpha locked. So we can just add a little bit of light, like so, and then blending it back in. And making sure, yes, we're on current there, so that's fine. And then we can take that lighter shade down to where some of those creases are. And down here we need a tiny bit of tidying up. So, and then with that done, we can probably start to, oh actually I just saw something else. This is always the way. Just highlighting this little seam. It's going to come down here. Lovely, and now I think we can look at these front closures. So what we're going to do, first of all, we're just going to remove some shadows in places where the light's going to hit these straps. They are, after all, these parts are going to be metallic, which catch the light in a different way to the other elements. so. Now we can make that new layer between them. This is going to be for the straps, which I'm thinking there'll be a brown that's not quite as red as that one. And it's going to switch to all layers for a moment. So going back to about here, and just a little bit lighter as well. So about that, we'll see how that treats us. And we're going to start with the leather part of these straps. We'll do the golden buckles when we've done this. Okay, and with that done, I'm just going to lock the layer briefly so that we can do some fairly light shading. Just to start us off with a big brush. And then dropping down to a small brush for more detailed sections, such as that bottom edge. Okay, and then lastly, adding the highlight. Don't worry, I'm pretty sure yours still has plenty of metallics for me to play with. And then the last one. Which is partially in shadow, so it have the complete highlight on there. So next we can do the actual gold parts, which is always fun. So I'm going to use the same gold tone that I've used in a couple of places, starting with this as our base. It's a really fun hairstyle to paint, to be honest. Kind of like side cuts are great. Okay, so now we can actually start rendering this nice kind of light tone. So we're going to jump up to everyone's favourite, the shiny Slayer. And just start to add this much brighter tones. Alaran, you never fail to be perfectly on cue. And these bits down here are a bit more shaded, so they won't have quite so much in the way of light. Alright, now we can jump up to the next lightest tone, which I'm actually gonna move up a bit. I want the tones to be ever so slightly different. And don't forget to save, very important indeed. It's gonna go down to a 6 as we approach the more kind of detailed bits. Okay, nearly there. Adding details like this always takes kind of time. Especially when they're a bit more shadowed. Okay, and then for the final bit, we're going to add the really bright highlight. Oh, you say that, but my scratch drive is full and I haven't gotten around to reassigning my autosaves. So that's on me for being forgetful, but I have lost a lot of work that way. And thank you so much, the Mighty Seats, for following. Hope you enjoy the stream. Good evening indeed. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a good week. Lots going on. It's been incredibly busy, that's for sure. Yeah, I hope everyone else has had a good week, and hooray, the weekend's here, huh? And also, Halloween tomorrow. I mean, I say that as an afterthought purely because I'm not doing anything for Halloween at all, so I don't know if anyone else is. And thank you so much, Mike Laidlaw, for subscribing with Prime. Really is very, very kind of you. It means a lot, so thank you so much. Okay, so we've got this kind of vest jerkin done now, which I'm very pleased with. So the next thing I'm going to do is this nice chunky belt, which has another one of these glowy MacGuffins on it, because artificers love MacGuffins. What I will do is I'm going to collect all the vest bits together in its own little folder so that my layers aren't getting super confusing. Thank you so much, Shifting to Wolf. I'm very pleased you like it. It's been a very fun commission to work on so far. Right, so this belt's going to be, I think we're going to have it quite dark. Not quite as dark as the black one. So we're just going to raise that base colour a touch. Once again, it's got a lot of metallic elements. Oh, we didn't do that bit down there. We'll do that in a minute. And thank you so much, Chippy Jackson, for following as well. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Yeah, this is there's a lot of puns flying around this chat right now. That's for darn sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back and sort out this little corner down here that I missed earlier. Because I am silly. There we go. Just a little bit of simple lighting on there. And then we can go back down to this belt. Make a layer above it, the usual kind of workflow, set it to multiply, and pick that greyish pale magenta. And then just fill it in. And then, making sure our brush is set to a white, we can go in and add, when Photoshop catches up, we can go in and add highlights. And then adding darker shadows as and when we need to. Where I'm gonna do, oh, I just realised this bit shouldn't even be there. Okay. But yes, picking a darker shadow for places where we need a little bit of heavier darkness. How long did it take you to get the drawing this far, if I may ask? Okay, so this piece, gosh, we worked on it for about an hour and a half on Wednesday. I did about an hour and a half going back to last time, the first time I streamed this piece. So that's 3 hours, plus half an hour today, so that's 3.5 hours. And then the sketch and the line art would have taken a few hours as well. All in all, I expect a piece like this to take me about 15 hours, 13 to 15 hours for a half body full painted like this. Although that really depends on the complexity of the piece. As you can see, this character's quite complex kind of hair and the goggles, and I imagine the techie arm will take me a little while to do. But that's kind of roughly the sort of time schedule that's been put into these. Oh, well, to be honest, you know, when you say you can only draw something with reference, that's fine. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to draw this at all without reference. I use reference, you know, for a lot of things. The only reason I haven't really been using it for costume is because this, like with soft costume like this, I tend to be able to work out where folds and stuff go fairly quickly at this point, but only because I've done a ton of painting them with reference in the past. The face, most faces I always have reference up while I'm painting, and that helps me kind of understand where shadows naturally form on the face and such. And honestly, yeah, I use reference for everything, so definitely don't feel that downplays your art at all by the fact that you need to use reference, because everyone does. If they say they don't, they're either a wizard or they're lying. Besides, the best way to learn and improve is to use reference, so don't worry about using it at all. A day will come when you can draw something without necessarily needing a picture up next to it, or it might not. For me, probably won't. I find that I really need it there to help me work, but you know, some people don't need it. It's very easy to hold yourself to a super high standard that can turn out to not be very healthy for your continued kind of work as a whole. I know, because I do that to myself a lot. I still haven't submitted my portfolio to like wizards and stuff yet. I really want to, but I'm too nervous. Big secrets. But yeah, don't worry about reference. Everyone uses reference. Okay, so let's do the actual kind of middle of the belt MacGuffin itself. What I might do is I might just play with the colours on this piece. I'm tempted to throw in a bit more saturation like so. Yeah, I like that. Make it a little colourful. Nah, DeviantArt's it's not coming up. It's not a thing. I don't want you to see my terrible Naruto fan art. It's not a thing mortals should see. Okay, so let's make a start with this felt metallic piece. I probably will. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do it at the start of the new year or something like that. In the meantime, I've got some really cool stuff that I'm working on for various people. I've done some work with Roll20 recently, which has been really fun. They were absolutely lovely to work with. So yeah, lots of cool stuff happening. Also, let me know if the music is too quiet. I can always turn that up if it's a little bit too quiet. That would be pretty rad. Gosh, I haven't actually played MTG in a while. I used to play a lot where I used to work. We used to have kind of workplace tournaments, but since going freelance, obviously, I don't hang out with people who play quite so much. So. Oh, seriously, I don't actually bother with Inktober at all. The pressure it puts on you to output a constant stream of work like that, I just don't get along with it. I find it's just a bit too much for me. Oh, I wouldn't say it's boring at all. I love doing private collections. Thank you so much to It's a Phenomena for following. Alright, so now we're adding just kind of the next level of light to this metallic belt buckle. We're going to paint this one slightly more coppery than the others. Yeah, that's a lot more a reasonable aim, especially if you are working, you've got other stuff going on in your life. You really can't, it's not really healthy to try and output a finished piece every single day. The next part we're probably going to do on the shiny layer to kind of tone down the line art a little bit. Thank you so much, Shifting to Wolf, for following. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Right, so that's that initial layer. We do a little bit of blending here and there. Like so. And then we're going to jump up to the shinies layer to start adding some more light. Go down to I think a 7. missed part of today's stream, or you'd like to see any of my earlier ones, they are all now available as VODs on YouTube, which I just started a couple of weeks ago, so trying to keep on top of that and keep it up to date with recent streams and stuff. I don't think Wednesday's one is quite up yet. It was taking forever to process, so that will be up today. Oh, did I miss Dungeon Scribe's message? Let's have a look, see if I can find it. Is it okay to share work on Instagram? Of course it is, yes. You're more than welcome to share on Instagram. If you can add a link to my Twitter, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much. Or actually to my Instagram. I always forget I do have Instagram, duh. Thank you very much for checking with me. Although it's always fine. With credit, I don't mind. Obviously, I can't speak for all artists. I know some prefer not to do reposts at all. So it's usually worth checking. So thank you very much for asking. Okay, that's level 2 of the shinifying. Now for the last stage. How can I use magenta? I use magenta because a lot of shadows kind of default to a sort of purpley colour. And so when I'm using the multiply layer for shadows, I find magenta makes the best kind of common tone if there aren't any extraneous kind of circumstances affecting the lighting. It's kind of like my default shadow colour, you could say. Oh, actually, I've just realised I've been really dumb. We're putting a kind of a little bit of glowy stuff in the middle, so we don't actually need that little bit. Going down back to that layer now. Yeah. We're going to do the same thing that we've done in this one. That same kind of jade. So we're just going to fill in that little bit there. Some kind of surrounding colour, then some highlights. And there we have a MacGuffin-y belt. Which means we can do the other belt that goes across. I'm going to do that the same colour as the back one. But yeah, kind of see what that looks like. I'm tempted even to just mess with that a tiny bit. Make the base tone a little bit lighter. Yeah, I like that. Okay, now let's pop in this other belt. We'll start with that nice dark kind of black for the leather. This one will be pretty simple because it's mostly covered up by the first belt. And then it's just a matter of adding some highlights. I mean, I think that's a bit of a reach, that particular pun there, but I recognise that you did your best. It does count if I smile, I suppose. I'll give you that. Alright, so I think the next thing to do is this kind of hip bag. And it's going to be similar colours to that first belt because it's kind of attached to it. Kind of part of the same unit, if that makes sense. Actually, no. You know what? I think it's actually going to be... I'm going to make it black. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. Just look up, there's so many zeros in chat. Or O's, capital O's, I suppose. Camel Photoshop, there you go. Catch up with me, would you? You don't regret it, really. Come on. I know you. The edge of a tool kind of poking out the pouch there. Okay, let's just get around this corner and then do the straps, and then we can start shading this one too. Gosh, I can't believe we've been going nearly an hour already. Time really flies when I'm streaming. Blows my mind. Okay. There is the little bag. And don't forget to save. Let's let's remember to do that. Oh, thank you so much. Woo. I would love to use your real name because that's a pain in the ass to say, but I respect your internet privacy. Right. Oh, sorry. Woo one. At least half the layers named exactly. Please be proud of me for having a tidy workspace. Cool. Let's do this. First things first. I actually painted it this dark so I could make sure I could see what I was doing. So we're gonna lighten it up a little bit, and then do the usual thing where I make a multiply layer. Like so. Okay. Right. This is gonna have quite a lot of shadow in it because it is on the more shadowed side of this character's body. So we're gonna be a bit more careful about what we erase. What we can do is we're just going to use it to add a few kind of creases, kind of give the impression that this bag has stuff in it. Gonna go around the top, and importantly this edge along here is not going to be in shadow because it's one of the few parts that is kind of directly facing the lighter side. And then we always have like just a little bit of lighting from the side. Yeah, that's very Artificer. Alright, and then just a few lighter bits coming through there. And of course, they are then blended into the surrounding area. Even though it gets quite hard to see the difference once you get this dark. Okay, that looks good to me. It's gonna blend up here as well. Up through there, and then just about peeking on the other side. like that. Alright, so with that, we can start to add a bit more in the way of highlights. So, we go back down to the layer beneath. I drop from that basic bottom colour. And then we can start adding some shininess to the leather. Oop, but not with that brush. That's too big. I think people are letting off fireworks here already. There we go, can see that's coming along. I'm just going to draw this colour across a bit. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, this has been a really fun character to work on so far. I'm really enjoying them. Alright, so that bit done, we can then, what I might do actually is I might go up to the overlines layer, just to add a bit of detail over the top of the line art. But I will need a small brush. Okay. Let's just add a little bit more. Oops, let's not fall off my chair either. Will not be fun. Going back down to shadow layer, we are now going to pick a darker tone just to put in some nice super dark shadows. Is that just taking forever, or am I not dark enough? Yeah, it should be fine. Oh no, we're just taking forever and I'm on the wrong layer anyway, so that would explain everything. Come on, Photoshop. Oh my god. I'm gonna die of impatience. Okay, so now we can do the buckles. And I might do these buckles silver, just so we've got a bit of contrast in there. And indeed, let's do a quick save. long does a character typically take me? This style, so fully painted, kind of half body. This particular character I've been working on for quite a few hours already, like about 15 hours, roughly, for this kind of character. It's maybe a bit less, 13 to 15. This one's got quite a lot of detail. Oh, bye Rebel, thank you so much for stopping by. As always, really lovely to have you here. Okay, we're going to go back up to everyone's favourite, the shinies layer, just to pop in the shiny bits on the back. I'm not going to go super bright with these because obviously this area is more in shadow than the rest. Awesome. So, next we can do the trousers. The trousers are going to be fairly simple, except the cute thing about these ones is they're going to have some cool kind of steampunky vertical stripes. So let's make a new layer for those. What I'm going to do is all of these various belt layers I'm going to pop together in a little folder, just so we've kind of got them a little bit more organised, and then we can start on these trousers. So, trousers going to be slightly lighter than the leather parts, but not as light as the vest. So we'll go for a nice mid-brown to start with, and we can always change that up in a minute. This is probably a bit light right now, so I'll probably change that soon. Whoops. Just drop my pen on the tablet. Why not? Yeah, it's not quite yellow. It definitely won't be bright yellow. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to start off by just making this a bit darker. Like so. And then selecting that colour, we'll then take a darker version of the same one, make sure the alpha channel is locked, and start putting in some stripes. Thank you so much, Angelus Lucis, for joining us. I hope you have a lovely evening, and look forward to seeing you next time. I might go slightly bigger brush on these. Okay, there are some stripes. Then we'll make our layer above it, and as everyone I'm sure is very accustomed to by now, selecting our shadow color and dropping that on the top there. And then jumping up to the white brush, and a nice kind of large brush size, kind of waiting for Photoshop to get its fucking act together. Oops, didn't mean to say a bad word. We can start to erase away in places that the light's going to hit. Hey, DSword16! How are you doing? It feels like forever since we last talked. Alright, then eyedropping from that gradient, we can start to soften some of these shadows. Brush a bit smaller for those sharper creases. Oh, thank you so much, Anim Literator, and good luck with your work. Alright, well those are some nice kind of creases worked into the trousers. And we can now drop to a darker shadow colour to work on areas where we're going to have, surprise, surprise, darker shadows. What I might actually do is be a bit cheeky. I'm going to extend this darker stripe in like that, because otherwise it's a bit confusing. Yeah, that makes the kind of that line a little bit better. Yeah, it's odd. I mean, part of my problem is I'm running with 8 gigs of RAM, which isn't an awful lot for the type of work I'm doing. So I need to get some more RAM. But there's just so many other ding darn expenses I can't really justify it right now. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. What I'm tempted to do is mess with that belt pouch a bit. In my PC I built about, when would it have been? About 2 years ago now? I can't actually remember what exactly it uses. I'm terrible at remembering PC specs. In fact, Woo1 in chat is probably more knowledgeable about it than I ever will be. Kind of messing around with different options for these trousers. Ooh, I quite like that. Bit more contrast. Cool. What I might do is I'm gonna put back to the belt layer. And I'm also going to saturate this a bit more. Oh, that already looks much better. Yeah. Nice. Okay, and we've got a little bit more detail to add here. Nah, so this was the one we built just before Christmas, if you recall. My custom one, which was kind of a budget build. Yeah. Dash to 1. Oops. I'm so tempted to make the buttons pink, just like a little pink ass at like a little bit of pink down here. See what that looks like. I just want a little nod to the hair. I kind of like that. Let's keep the buttons pink. Pink buttons, yay! It's cute and I like it. And then just a little bit of light on that, on these seams. Yeah, just need a bit more RAM really. Ooh. Fantastic. Okay, well that's basically the costume done. I'm gonna save again. Whoop, adjust my headphones. And then we're gonna make a start on this super cool Full Metal Alchemist style arm blade. Let's just group those for now. And I might put these, like everything's going in a group. Because I am getting organized. Alright, so let's do this arm. So first of all, we've got a sort of sleeve that's being worn underneath. And I'm thinking it needs to be a sort of mirror of the reddish pink sleeve on the other side, which, by the way, I'm gonna alter a little bit. I want it to be pushed towards pink. Now we've kind of established what's going on. I prefer, yeah. So I'm thinking a sort of a lighter version of this for the sleeve. Maybe starting there and see how we go. I don't even know what that does. What does that do? I mean, I know Woo does probably more demanding stuff than cutting edge gaming. Game dev for the win. Ah, okay. See, I don't know the names of these things. Woo helped me build this computer, so that's why they know a lot about it. Alright, we have a sleeve. So, next thing to do is to shade said sleeve. So, much like every other time before this time, taking that magenta, filling it in, and then taking it away again. Just popping those shadows back in certain areas. Yeah, I was waiting for it to, and I was not disappointed. Let's just start adding a bit more shadow into these areas. And then on the flip side, we can add a little bit of highlight too. Oops. Making sure that we have our alpha channel locked. Alright, so we are now ready to start on the arm blade proper, so let's save again, because paranoia at losing everything, you know. And we'll start with these plates. I think we're going to do it a mix of kind of copper and gold. We're going to make it quite a warm palette, I think, because I think that's a bit more unusual and fun to do, to be honest. We'll start with these side plates. I had a crash last night while I was working on a bunch of stuff for an actual like a big client, and my heart just dropped out of my chest and shattered on the floor. It was a sad day. Thankfully, I'd been saving the individual concepts I'd been working on as I went along, so I had like flat versions of everything, so it's not like the worst situation, but it was still very sad. That's alright. I kind of am used to my own silliness sometimes. Yeah, this is why when I'm streaming I'm more kind of thinking about it, because it's great to have also you lot in chat who also remind me to do it, so I'm kind of almost better at remembering when I'm streaming. There we go. As you can see, I'm keeping this fairly rough for now. When I'm working on metallics that are almost more like armor, I tend to keep it fairly fluid and rough as I go along. Working out how the tone kind of works together and stuff. Take a while. But I think we're getting there. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this fairly rough and loose right now because I kind of want to paint the plates together before I settle on the actual look, if that makes sense. Now we're going to have some cool, bright kind of turquoise veins running between the plates, so I'm going to leave these little channels open. Hey, Lazef! Welcome! I was wondering if I was going to see you today. Oh, I'm pleased you're able to make it as well. It's been a good one today. We've actually made great progress. I think I'll be able to finish her today, actually. Such is my intention. Also, we're in Pun Hell right now, just so you're aware. Also, if you are enjoying the kind of background music I've got going in the stream, it's all by a really lovely artist. Well, the work is lovely. I don't know if they're personally lovely, but they might be. It's by a really cool composer called Kai Engel. You can find all their stuff on the Free Music Archive. Oh gosh, this arm just went really weird when I turned to type. It's getting locked into drawing position, which means I'll probably need to have a break in a bit. But we'll see if we can do a bit more on these metal panels before I do. I probably should have done these on separate layers, but YOLO, I guess. Alright, we're gonna save first before we do anything else. Make sure our alpha channel is locked, and then kind of get cracking with this. And now we've basically got a cylinder, and the way this is going to behave is light's going to kind of come down following the long side of the cylinder, mostly. It won't behave totally like that because we've got some other kind of caveats in the shapes. And then in some cases, we've got harsh shadows being cast by other plates, or these kind of little pipes that are coming up. And then we've got these light bits that are also gonna come down these sides. Like so. Oh, thank you so much. And then the next thing to do is just to kind of make it a little bit more gentle. Blend these areas. can help to add a little bit of edges to the metal. Oh, Samantha, I wondered if you would come online. I'm really pleased you like it. Gosh, I think people really are lighting fireworks nearby. A brush of blending +3, very much. Very blend heavy style. Alright, now we can start to tidy up some of these kind of bits. And we'll do the same on the outer parts as well. Hope it's just fireworks. You know, who knows really. Okay, and then a bit up here. Alright, that inner section is looking quite good. Let's just tidy up the outer section, which is a little bit more rough right now. Kind of similar if you saw my stream the other day where we did a lot more metal painting. Exactly the same approach really, even though it's a lot more kind of sectional. When you're painting metal, you've got to use a lot of smooth blending, not unlike with skin, just with more of a contrast between the areas really. Oh, I'm sorry, you got told off. Nightbot is sharp. Okay, and we'll just neaten up these little edge bits. Oops. And then we can jump up to the shinies layer, which is everyone's favourite, I know. Take a nice bright colour. Start to add some extra light detail in a few places. Going down to a slightly smaller brush size as and when it's appropriate. And then saving, because that's always an appropriate thing to do. And then we can, let's see. We'll add this little bottom plate that's just kind of sticking out down here. Photoshop. the shiniest layer. Just do that outside edge. And then I think we can also use this layer to do a couple of other bits and pieces. I think we can do the tubes, which are going to be very dark. And indeed, mustn't forget to save. I'm just going to do these in between bits as well, just to get them covered. And you know what? This is actually going to form part of the same colour, because we've got this kind of dark, almost rubber-esque sectioning before you start the hand. Come on. There we go. There we go. And we can shade that. I don't think we'll need to make an additional layer to do so. Dramatic ambience intensifiers, yeah. Sounds about right. So now I can hear what sounds like a chainsaw. There's a lot of concerning sounds coming from outside right now. I mean, it's right for this time of year. That's a bit too high up. Let's just make that a little tidier. And then we can add a slightly lighter bit as well. And that brush is way too big for what we want to do with it. Oh, come on, Photoshop. It's starting to be like, no, you've got too many layers. Let me rest. Rest when you're dead. Alright. Is the fashionable way to sell fireworks involving a chainsaw? Alright, cool. So I'm also gonna just pop back up to overlines. I'm gonna add a little bit of just reflected light on the sides of these tubes. Thank you so much, TXODip and Deadly Quaker for following. Okay, the last bit I'm going to do for now is just this little cushioned bit here, which is going to be sort of greyish tan. For this one, to make sure the tone is right, I will be making a shadow layer. And in fact, pretty much the whole thing is going to be in shadows, so all we're going to do is add darker shadows. And then maybe just a tiny bit, just erase them here and there. Alright, and I'm probably going to come back and edit these metallics quite a lot as we go along, but I want to get that hand and the blade done first before I do. But I think for now that will probably do us, so I'm just going to save one more time. And what am I drawing on before I finish? I am using a Cintiq 16 tablet, not the Pro. It's a tablet Wacom bought out about 1.5 years ago. I think at the time it retailed for about 500 quid, which is a lot cheaper than most of Cintiq's, which is why I bought it. But more expensive than stuff like Huon's or Xpen's, though I've never really got on with those. But yes, so I'm using Photoshop and a Wacom 16. So, as I am absolutely starving and want to give my arm a break, I will probably be calling it here, but thank you all so much for joining me today. It's been lovely to have you all in chat. First off, I'm going to drop some links in. Whoops, it's not working. There we go. If you want to see this piece finished, as well as my other finished work, please check out my Twitter, maybe drop me a follow. It's where I tend to post most of my finished stuff, as well as other bits and pieces like costume making or miniature painting. Next up, if Twitter isn't really your thing, I also have an Instagram. Basically the same stuff on there, just a different option. Thirdly, if you purely want to see my portfolio, please take a look at my ArtStation. It's the best place to see all my work in a nicely kind of arranged space. And last but, not last anymore because I've got a new one. YouTube, if you missed the start of this video or you would like to watch any of my other VODs from past streams, I now have a YouTube channel, so please do go check that out, and it's just quite chill to put on the background, so totally going to encourage that. And now we come to last but certainly not least, if you want to support the work I do, and kind of help me kind of continue to make this my full-time occupation, please consider supporting me on my Patreon. There are various rewards on there, such as sketches, works in progress, tutorials, exclusive art, all that kind of stuff. So do consider popping me some support on there if you are able to, and that's what you want to do. So thank you all so very much for joining me today. I'll be streaming again next week on Wednesday at 5 PM GMT, so that's UK time. And until then, I hope you all have a really lovely weekend, and I will be back to speak to you all soon. So stay safe, stay cozy, and have a great weekend. Bye!